Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahad Yaqub. So now we are starting the live stream for paper 2 and there are certain things that needs to be discussed. So now first of all, paper 2 O level math 4024, and everyone has mashallah given the paper 1 and they have performed wonderfully well. Yes, a little bit ups and downs are always there. That's part of life. Someone might have missed a 2-mark question, a 3-marker, and so on. So that happens. That's not a big deal. Now, when we are talking about this thing, let's talk about, first of all, if I talk about May, June paper and October, November paper, and if I compare paper 1 and paper 2, so now normally what happens is that whatever major topics have occurred and come in paper 1, that doesn't come in paper 2. Of course, there are some very, very big topics. Maybe a part of it comes in paper 1, a part of it comes in paper 2. So now if we do the analysis of May, June 2025 paper 1, so now what happens is that this was variant 1, 2. So there was some mathematical operation, probability, nets, angle, algebra, scale drawing and bearings, power and roots, scatter diagram. This much, the first 8 questions, that they were worth approximately, not approximately, exactly 25 marks. Then there was estimation, prime factorization, simultaneous equation, word problem, transformation, and percentage word problems. That was worth 22 marks. Then question 14 till 18, that is coordinate geometry, column vectors, surds, starts, cumulative frequency curve, algebra and coordinate geometry, and kinematics. That's worth 28 marks. And then the last 5 questions, that was algebraic fractions, recurring decimals, vectors, completed square form and sketches, sectors. That was worth 25 marks. Altogether, that is 100 marks. Now, if I compare May, June 2025 paper 1, variant 1, 2 with May, June 2025 paper 2. So now let's compare the two. So now symmetry was not asked for. That came some basic numbers, some units and ratios, angles, conversion, relative frequency, currency, polygon, sets, indices. Then there is interest, factorization, probability, circle, angle properties, mean and histogram, graphs, quadratic word problem, and 2D mensuration. 3D cone hemispheres similar, trigonometry, upper bound, lower bound, simple fraction. And then, yes, there was this thing also. That is interest, factorization, probability, circle, sequence, standard form, and functions. So now whatever has come in paper 1, that doesn't appear in paper 2. Now, if we take the same analysis, and now this is what is in my mind regarding paper 2. So now first let's have a good clarity of what do we expect to happen in paper 2. Of course, it's an estimated guess. It's not something that has been leaked out or anything. Allah na kare leak out or anything, because that causes distress and trouble and anxiety in people and a lot of inconvenience for students, parents, and their teachers. So now what I expect is that if I break it up into 6 portions, so functions, inverse, domain and range, that kind of question should be there. Completed square method, quadratics, graph, that is drawing a graph with tangent, point of intersection, a suitable equation, a cubic, that these kind of things are there. So now if I highlight these, so that is functions, inverse and domain range, completed square, cubic, it could be expansion, it could be a sketch of cubic. And then it could be about drawing a graph. And then the first part could be tangent, then something point of intersection, then suitable equation, things like that. Now let's talk about what about circle. Circle was not asked for. So circle definitely would be coming. Some basics of symmetry, some basics of polygon, and maybe arcs and sectors. Yes, they asked about trapezium and they asked about a cylinder and hemisphere, but there might be a possibility they can also ask about arcs and sectors. Now, from the perspective of numbers, arithmetic, some basic ordering, some BODMAS variations. Now, this is like algebra and arithmetic combined. Percentage and ratios, currency conversion, upper bound and lower bound, recurring decimals, indices. Yes, a little bit of indices was asked, but I expect more in that. Then we have 3D trigonometry, angle of elevation, depression, shortest distance, area, sine rule, cosine rule, and so on. So now let me just do one thing that is over here. Hold for a second. And let me just, I forgot one thing. I need to do that. So this is prime. This is and let me just post a link. 4024 P2 live. And I just need to put the link. $360. Okay, so now trigonometry, that thing is discussed. Yes, exponential, the curve was asked, but there could be a question related with exponential growth, exponential decay, inequalities, graph questions, starts, cumulative frequency, starts, bar chart, pie chart, pictogram. That is what I predict. Sets in Venn diagram, kinematics, and maybe a probability tree diagram. They have asked a sample space question, and maybe it could be a probability tree diagram. Now, here is my version of this paper. That is, if this thing was ordered. So this is, in my view, paper 2, 2026, May, June, and one of the variants. So now over here, it could be, the first question could be about arithmetic ordering, the second question about BODMAS, third about indices, fourth about lower and upper bound, five ratio and percentage. Then pi and pictogram, currency conversion, dollar to euro, euro to pound, something like that. Multiple, a multiple of three, a square number, a cube number, irrational number, something to do with variations, polygons question, then sets in Venn diagram, graph and inequalities, kinematics, function inverse domain range, circle properties, then symmetry, completing square method, and sketch. Word problem, distance, speed, time. Yes, they can ask this. And then we have this thing, which is a 3D trigonometry. So this is like a box, and then there is angle of elevation, shortest distance, lots of Pythagoras theorem, exponential growth and decay, and recurring decimal. That could occur as one question. And then graphical solution of equations, probability tree diagram, statistics CF curve, and maybe scatter diagram, because they have not yet asked scatter diagram. So either this or that. And last but not the least, cubic expansion and sketch. So yes, you can take a screenshot if you want to. That is what I have in mind over here. And this is, let me just double check. And let me share these images with you. So now those in the group, they'll be able to see it soon. Otherwise, I'm posting it first. And okay. So now let's look at some papers. So that was the overview. Examiner report, I talked about it earlier. And let's look at the 2025 paper because a lot of things are there. And you might get a glimpse of such papers in the days to come. That is on the 5th. So something like this already came, correct? Cube root and 4 raised to power of negative 2, that is easy. Something like this. I think a lot of people find scatter diagram very easy. Let me just give you the sneak preview of what is usually asked in this. And hold for a second. Just okay, so now it says the distance, kilometers, time in minutes, and this is 4.5, 4.6, 7.2, and so on. So these values are already marked for us. Okay, and the shaded ones, they have a habit of already marking these ones, the one with crosses, and that is how you have to mark also. So now the main point is mark with crosses, not with dots. That's the first thing. Complete the scatter diagram. The first 6 points have been plotted for you. Draw a line of best fit. And if I mark these points, 4.2 and 52. So this is 4.2 and 52. So there is 4, there is 4.2, there is 52, there is it, and like this, across like this. So this is 4.2 and 52. The next one, 9.0 and 116. 9.0 and 116. So this 9 is going all the way over here. And this is 116. It's not in any order. 3.8 and 49. So 3.8 and 49. So here. And last one, 5.6 and 62. So this is 5.6 and 62. So now the pointers are drawn like this. Now, when we have to draw the line of best fit, let me draw it in green color. So let's say I drew it like this. Let me draw it very, very thin. If I drew it like this, that's wrong. That's not a nice one. The reason why it's wrong is this thing, that all the points are left at the bottom. So it has to be uniform. So let's say if I draw something like this, something like this, that is a good one. That is a good one because let me double check. 1 point is left below, 1 point is left above, 1 point is left below, 1 point is left above, 1 point is left below, 1 point is left above. So that is left out, above, and below. So above and below is the same. Sometimes it is exactly the same. Sometimes it's almost the same. So that's how you draw a line of best fit. So now in O-level maths or for any other level of maths, do not underestimate anything because you might be walking out very happy and you might think that you have done everything correct, but you might have made the most silliest of all mistakes. So don't do that. Use the line of best fit to take the time Asha takes for this walk. So she walks a distance of 6.8. So go to 6.8 on this thing that is over here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 6.8 actually. And touch this graph and then go towards the left. Of course, I'm not drawing the full thing. This is 82, 84, 86. So that is 86. And what's the units over here? Minutes. So units are already given over here. That's how this thing is done. Now, sometimes we have something like this. The diagram shows a rectangle by writing each number correct to one significant figure. So now over here, this is first, second, third. This is the second significant figure. So it will influence this. So 87 would lie between 80 versus 90. It's closer to 90. Similarly, 2, 3, 6. So that is the second one. So 23. It's closer to 20 versus 30. So it's closer to 20. Find an estimate for the area of the rectangle. So for the area of the rectangle, I'll choose 90. I'll choose 20. Two nines are 18. And then two zeros. So that is the answer. Double check. Is it in millimeter? Millimeter. That's all good. Prime factorization was already asked. Yes, a word problem based upon simultaneous equation, something simple. You can just have a good look. The mass of a small box is x, the mass of large box is y, the mass of four small boxes, so 4x, and six large boxes, that is 6y, is 30. Divide by 2 and you get this equation. Very, very simple. Then it says the total mass of six small and one large. Six small and one large is 13. And then you solve it simultaneously. No one cares whether you solve it simultaneously using what you call elimination or substitution. It doesn't make a difference. Let's talk about percentages. I think that is basic stuff. In a sale, the shop reduces all prices by 20%. A coat cost $85 before sale. So now you can make a column that is the original price, the final price. So it's reduced. If the original is 100, naturally it's a sale, it's a discount. So this will become 80. And if the original, work out the sale price of the cost, sale price of the coat. So now it's $85 before. So this is $85 and this is X. So just cross multiply like this, just cross multiply like this. So therefore X into 100, that is 80 into 85. So now, is it a paper one or paper two? So now, more or less, it's the same thing except for the calculator usage. So right now, we just make it's the subject, whatever the question that you will be given, that would be such that you have to use a calculator, and that's it. So the concept is still the same. Now, keep in mind, there is no difference in the difficulty level. So now keep this in mind that these are the pointers of what we are studying right now. So now the first thing is, now calculator is allowed, but do not skip the steps. You have to show all the steps, and that is required by the examiner. That is the first thing. And then logical working. That is a must. And that dotted line over there, make sure to write the answer over there. That is also a must. And first simplify. That is also important. First simplify. Then use a calculator. No one is stopping you from using a calculator, but first simplify this thing. So now coming back to this, I think that was this one. This was paper 2. And there should be a paper 1. I think we were doing this one. So the sale price of a shirt is $40. So now work out the cost of the shirt before the sale. So again, original, final, 100, becoming 80. Before is Y, after is 40. So now this is a paper 1 question, very simple. Y into 80 is 40 into 100. So therefore, Y comes out to be 50. Very simple. You can also look over here. 80 becomes 40. 100 should becomes 50. Now, column vector, this thing is done. Trapezium, surds, and over here, this is the cumulative frequency. Always double check. What's the main pointer? If there are 80 people, make sure that that's ending at 80. Sometimes it's ending at 80, but the graph goes up till 100. So focus on that. 50% of cumulative frequency, read off this value. Interquartile range, upper quartile minus lower quartile. Now, something to do with reasoning, they might ask you this. That is, median is the average or the typical value. Interquartile range is a measure of dispersion, variability, spread out, how much data has been spread out. Now, high interquartile range means low consistency. Low interquartile range means high consistency because that is what they have asked. So now over here, each of the 80 people also record the journey from time to work to home that day. The table shows the result. So this is work to home, and the one over here, 32 and 10, that is home to work. This is median versus median, interquartile range versus interquartile range. So this is about comparison. So comparison based upon median, comparison based upon interquartile range. Now it says J says the journey times from home to work. The journey times from home to work is more consistent than the journey time from work to home. Than the journey time from work to home. So now this consistency, this has to do with interquartile range. More consistent, that means low interquartile range. Yes, is J correct? Yes, because it has low interquartile range. That is what I have written over here. So high interquartile range, low consistency, low interquartile range, high consistency. So these are kind of basic questions that they ask. Kinematics. Now, some of these questions, they were already done in my workshop. So now I'm just going over these questions. First, have a good look. Now it says the diagram shows the speed time graph for a cyclist journey. Look at the vertical axis, that is speed in meters per second. Look at the horizontal axis, that is time in seconds. Describe the motion of the cyclist between 40 and 100. So now over here, the speed is constant. So we would say the cyclist is traveling at a constant speed between 40 and 100. The acceleration of the cyclist between 0 and 40 is 0.25. So 0 and 40, the slope is 0.25. So we know that the slope of a speed time graph is acceleration. And the area under this graph is distance covered. Keep that in mind. So now this is change in velocity or speed divided by change in time. So V over 40 is 1/4. Hence you find the value of V, which is 10. The total distance traveled is 1.4 kilometers. Find the value of T. Just have a good look. So now over here, there are two ways in which I worked it out, either using the gradient formula or using change in y over change in x slope. We just take the magnitude. Over here, the magnitude was positive. V comes out to be 10. If you use coordinate geometry, you use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Of course, you get the same answer. Now, the total distance travel is 1400. The area of this triangle is 200. The area of this rectangle is 600. So therefore, 1400 minus 600 minus 200, that leaves with 600. That means just let me focus on this one. So area of this triangle should be 600. So half into the time interval D into V is equals to this much. So I've done half into D into 10 is 600. D comes out to be 120. 100 seconds have already passed. 100 plus 120, that's 220. That's one way of doing it. So let me write over here. This is method number 1, or let me call it method number 2. So this is method 2. And over here, this one is method 1. That is, if this is T, this is 100. Therefore, this thing is T minus 100. So let me mark over here. That is T minus 100. That goes like this. And this 10, that is the vertical height. That is this 10. Okay. So now that the green color is already used, let me use this purple color. That is the height. So that is the 10. So half into T minus 10 into 10 is 600. Therefore, T comes out to be 220. This is one method. This is the other method. Now, let me ask an extra part. That is find the deceleration. So this is 100 comma 10. This is 220 comma 0. Therefore, the deceleration is, the acceleration is negative. Deceleration already has a negative connotation. That's 1 over 12. Or I can use change in y over change in x. the height over the base, that is 1 over 12. Since you can see it coming down, give it a negative sign. For deceleration, the word has a negative connotation. So when we use the word deceleration, there is no need to write negative sign. So deceleration, retardation, it means the same thing. Now, these kind of questions have already there. Vectors have already come. Yes, quadratics. Let me focus on this. So in quadratics, we can say they're asking about the completed square form. Always make sure the coefficient of x square is 1. If it's not 1, we will take common throughout, but in your case, it will be 1. And then take the first two terms, that is the x square and the x term, keep it on the left-hand side. The constant, push it to the right-hand side. So this is the constant push to the right. And let me just highlight this thing. So these first two terms, x square and 4x, that's over here, constant over here. And then we will first add, then subtract square of half the coefficient of x. So coefficient of x is 4, half of that is 2. We will first add something, then subtract something. Now rewrite the first three terms as a perfect square. Basically, we are compressing it. So this is positive, therefore it's a plus b whole square. If this would have been negative, it would be a minus b whole square. So this is x plus 2 whole square minus 4 minus 12, that is negative 16. Always compare it with our gold standard, that is a x minus h whole square plus k. So we will always compare it with this thing. And now a, if it's positive, we know that that goes like this. If a is negative, that goes like this. And h comma k, that's the coordinate of the turning point, also known as vertex, also known as stationary point in the language of calculus. Now use your answer to part A, find the coordinates of the turning point. So this examiner is misleading us. We have to compare it with this. So now when we compare it with this, therefore, negative h is positive 2. So h is negative 2. K is negative 16. So negative 2, negative 16, that's the coordinate of the turning point. Now let's look at this one. What exactly is the examiner asking? It's asking, sketch the graph of this thing, indicating values where the graph crosses the axes. So now when it crosses the axes, it means both the x-axis and the y-axis. So if I make y is equals to 0, so this is finding the x-intercept. So let me write over here, y is equals to 0, find x-intercepts. And over here, x is equals to 0, find y-intercept. There will only be one y-intercept. As far as x-intercepts are concerned, it could be 2, it could be 1, it could be none. If you can solve it and there is a positive negative sign, of course, you would end up with two answers. The other one is of them is negative 6, the other one is positive 2. Now look at the working. We just take it to the other side and no need of expanding it. Just take the square root, don't forget the plus and the minus sign. And then x is negative 6 and plus 2. So it has to be realistic. It's more on the negative side, little bit on the positive side. And the turning point that lies exactly between the two. So if they would have asked for the x coordinate of turning point, so line of symmetry, yes, they can ask. So x coordinate of vertex, that is halfway between these two values, which is 6 and 2. So this is negative 6 and 2. That is half of negative 4. That comes out to be negative 2. So if I draw a vertical line like this, it would be symmetrical about this thing. So that is the y intercept. This is the x intercept. This is the x intercept. That's what they are asking. Okay. So now let's move on. This is paper one. I'm just looking for the kind of questions that are of interest to us. Something like this. Yes, cubic. That is, we are interested in that because this has not been checked so far. So now first thing is expand and simplify. Let me do this question. That is over here. First write this thing, x minus 3 as it is. And let's multiply these two out. So therefore, 2x into x, that is 2x squared. 2x into 2, that is 4x. 5 into x is 5x, 5 into 2 is 10. So that is 2x squared plus 9x plus 10 into x minus 3. Now let's multiply it out in such a manner that let's start with x and multiply with all three of them. That is 2x cubed plus 9x squared plus 10x. And let me take this negative 3 and multiply with these three. So minus 3 into 2, that is negative 6x squared. Look at where I'm writing it. Negative 3 into 9, that is negative 27x. And negative 3 into 10, that is negative 30. Now let's add this thing up. So when we add this up, it's easy. So this is 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 17x minus 30. So the reason of writing it this way was that it's very easy to add it vertically. So this remains as it is. The last one remains as it is. These two simplifies to this. These two simplifies to this. Now the same thing they're asking again. Sketch the graph. On the sketch, label the values where the graph crosses the axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. So now if I make y is equals to 0, that means each bracket should equal to 0. Of course, I won't be using this. I would be using this. So when we make each bracket equal to 0, so x is positive 3, x is negative 5 over 2, x is negative 2. It's already factorized. And when the coefficient of x cube is positive, we start with top right, we go till bottom left and through these three roots. So it goes like this and like this and like this. And how do you get this point? This is very easy. Just plug in x is equals to 0. So y comes out to be negative 30. So this is cubic, something very important that I discussed. Uh, Something like this. Now, these are the favorite parts. Thumbnails. Yes, I want to focus on this. That is a nice question. Let's first go over this and then I'll show you the working. First, read through it. Now it says A and M make cards. One day, they each work for 4 hours making cards. A takes X minutes to make one card. So now it's minutes, it's hours. Take care of that. Show that the number of cards A'd make in 4 hours is given by this much. That's the first thing. Maha takes 2 minutes less than A to make one card. Total of 70 cards in 4 hours. Form an equation in X and show that it simplifies to this thing. So now let's look at the working. Now, first of all, I have done it using ratios. I did not use any formula. That's the way I teach, using common things to make things correct. So now this is for this person A and X minutes to make one card. 4 hours is this thing. That is 240 minutes to make A cards. So if I make A the subject, that is 240 over X. That's the first thing. Now, for this person, M takes 2 minutes less. So if A takes X minutes to make one card, this person would be taking X minus 2 minutes to make one card. So now over here, 240 again in 4 hours, it will make M cards. If I make M the subject, that is 240 over X minus 2. So we have this thing, we have this thing. Got the idea? So that is how many cards a person A can make in 4 hours into 40 minutes. 4 into 60 is 240. And similarly, M can make in this much. So now the total number of cards is 70. So now the total, we add it up, that equals to 70. Now I have taken this 240 common out. Look at the working. 1 over x plus 1 over x minus 2. So now this is all algebra. 1 over x, 1 over x minus 2, LCM everything. Now open up the bracket. So this is over here. That is x plus x, which is 2x minus 2. So 2x minus 2 is over here. It's being multiplied with 240. We already have 70 over here. And this denominator over here, that goes to the other side. So this is x minus 2. That goes to the other side. And that's how you cross multiply, simplify, you get a quadratic equation, and so on. Got the idea? Form an equation in x, this 1 mark. And then this is 4 marks for all this thing. Now, of course, there should be a solution for this. Solve by factorization. So now, if they are limiting us by factorization, we have to solve it by factorization. 7x squared minus 62x plus 48. So I have done the working over here. 48, that's 40 plus 8, that is 336. 336 is 56 into 6. So 56 and 6, of course, you can use a calculator and things like that. So now, and even if it's non-calculator version, not an issue, you will be doing it with the calculator, so no issue with the checking. We get these two things, we get x is equals to 8, we get x is equals to 6 over 7. So now over here, you will write both the things. Later on, we will accept one and reject the other. The reason is x is 6 over 7. If I subtract minus 2, it will be negative. That is why we are rejecting it. So therefore, only accept this thing as the answer. So if I choose x as 8, that is 6 cards in 1 minute. So how many in 1 hour? 60 into 6, that is 360. So that's the kind of basic working, not very basic, but a nice question. Okay, so now let's move on. And let me go to paper 2 of this 2025. Okay. Something like the conversion ml into liters. So 1 liter is 1000 ml, correct? So 1 liter is 1000 ml. So therefore 175 ml, and this is 2.5 into 1000, that is 2500 ml. And is it a paper 2? Yes, it's a paper 2. So you can use a calculator. You can divide by 25. Well, 25 into 7 and 25 into 100. So the ratio is 7 is to 100. That is the basic thing that's done over here. Now over here, it says DEF. So just focus on the alphabets. Don't focus on everything. So now there is D, then there is E, and then there is F. A lot of people, they are skeptical about the names and everything. They want to divide 540 in this ratio, find the amount that E receives. So first of all, if I talk about E, that is Erica, and the ratio of E is how much? So that is this 4 in the middle, that's 5 in the middle, that's 5 divided by 4 plus 5 plus 3. That is the ratio, that is the fraction, that's the relative frequency, you can say. So 4 and 5 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, that is 5 over 12 of 540. Use a calculator, you get the answer. Conversion, 6.1 meter square to centimeter square. We know that 100 centimeters, it becomes 1 meter. 100 into 100 centimeter square, that is 1 into 1 meter square. So now we have 6.1 meter square and we have x. So therefore, x into 1, that is 6.1 into 1 and then 4 zeros. So this is 6, 1. Let me write a lot of zeros over here. and let me move the decimal. So this is 6.1. So 1 decimal, 2 decimal, 3 decimal, 4 decimal, erase the rest. So that is 61,000 centimeter square. That goes over here. That's the conversion. Relative frequency has already come. Let me try out some questions related to this thing. And again, it's paper two. So yes, you can grab your calculator if you want also to try it out alongside myself. So now it says Chris wants to exchange $350 for euros at the bank. The bank only gives euros in multiples of 5. The exchange rate is $1 is this many euro. So this is dollar, this is euro, this is 1, this is 0.92, and now this is $350, and this is X euros. So now if I cross multiply, and let me grab the calculator. So therefore, this is 350 into 0.92. That comes out to be 322. So X comes out to be 322. Now it says, calculate the number of euros he receives and the change from 350. So the euro will only be in multiples of 5 and the change will be this many dollars, correct? So now what we can do is that this is 322 euros. So now first thing is that he will get 3 euros, 300 euros that he will receive. That's not an issue. Now 320 euros, not 300, 320 euros. So that thing is there. Now this 2 euros, this is non-convertible. So how much is it in dollars? So therefore dollars, euros, $1, 0.92 euros. Therefore 2 euros, this is y. So therefore y into 0.92 is 2 into 1. So 2 divided by 0.92. So 2 divided by 0.92, that comes out to be 2.17. Y comes out to be 2.1739. So the change would be $2.17. $2.17. Now, usually the currency exchange people, they don't have the coins. So technically, he will just be getting 2 euros, practically speaking. Okay, so that is question number 7. Calculate the interior angle of a regular octagon. So first of all, the sum of interior angles, irrespective of whether it's regular or irregular, that's n minus 2 into 180 degrees. If it's a regular polygon, then each angle is equal, that is n minus 2 into 180 degrees divided by the number of sides. So octagon, n is 8. So this is 8 minus 2 into 180 degrees divided by 8. That is 6 over 8, which is 3/4 of 180 degrees. And I can write the answer without the calculator. That is 135 degrees. So 3/4 of 180 is 135. Something like this. In a class of 22 students, 12 play the piano, 9 play the guitar, 6 do not play the piano or the guitar. So let me write over here the piano over here. Let me write guitar over here. And 6 do not play piano or the guitar. So these 6 people, they are on the outside of the 2 circles. And yes, this thing is a universal set that's already marked. So now 22 minus 6, that is how much? That is 16, correct? That means this plus this should be 16. Now this is 12, this is 9. So 12 plus 9 is how much? That is 21. The difference between 16 and 21 is 5. That means 5 has been counted twice. So that's one way of doing the working. Another way is, this is X. So only piano would be 12 minus 6. Only guitar would be 9 minus 6. If I include 6, add it up to 22. If I exclude 6, add it up to 16. So 12 minus x plus 9 minus x is equals to 16. Now do the cancellation. Negative x and plus x, this cancels out. 12 plus 9 is 21 minus x is 16. X comes out to be 5. So now 12 minus 5. Therefore, 7 people play piano only. 9 minus 5 is 4. Play guitar only. This x is 5. This is both piano and guitar. Find the number of students who play both the piano and the guitar. That answer is this thing, 5. That's how this question is done. Probability. Just have a good look. It says a bag contains 9 red and 3 green counters. Lee takes 2 counters from the bag at random without replacement. Complete the tree diagram. So now 9 plus 3 is 12. Denominator is 12. Denominator is 12. Since it's without replacement, so therefore the denominator decreases to 11. That is the first thing. Next thing, red becoming red. So this 9 reduces by 1, becomes 8. Green becoming green. This 3 reduces by 1, becoming 2. The total probability should add up to 1. The total probability should add up to 1. Over here, all the answers after multiplication, they should also add up to 1. So 9 becomes 8, and this is 3 as the previous one. Of course, it has to add up to 1. This 9 is the previous one. The green one decreases to 2. Work out the probability. Both counters are red. So it could be red, red. That is this into this. If they would ask about the same color, so it could be red, red, or it could be green, green. So let me write over here, that is green, green. Now, if they ask me about at least one red, so that is exactly one red, that is red, green, and green, red, or exactly two red, so they can add it all up. Or the shortcut is 1 minus no reds. So green, green is no red. That can also be the answer. Some basic function. So when over here, f of negative 8, that is equals to 10 minus 8 divided by 3. That is 18 over 3. This comes out to be 6. Gx is 4x plus 3. Find g inverse. So you should write let y is equals to gx. Therefore, g inverse y is equals to x. So therefore, y equals to 4x plus 3. Y minus 3 divided by 4 is x, but x equals to g inverse y. Therefore, g inverse x is equals to, replace the variable, x minus 3 over 4. About the mean score, you have to use the mid value. So now 0 and 30, the mid value is 15, the mid value is 35, the mid value is 50, the mid value is 65, the mid value is 85. That is the x value, that is the frequency value. So estimate of the mean. Why does it say it's an estimate? Because we assume that the data is evenly distributed, which may or may not be the case. So it says there are 300 students take part in a competition. The table shows information about the score. So it's not necessary that the scores are evenly distributed between 0 and 30. No one might be getting between 0 and 20, and everyone would be getting between 20 and 30. So it's an estimate because we assume that the data is evenly distributed, which may or may not be the case. X bar sigma fx over sigma f. So therefore, x bar, that is 15 into 24. Of course, you have a calculator, 35 into 70, 50 into 88, 65 into 76, 85 into 42. Add it all up, divided by 300. That's over here, and that's your answer. Frequency density was already asked. Graph, I'll just show you some question which I've done. Let me show you a question like this. Let me just drink some water. So now it says ABCD and EFGD are rectangles. And it says show that CD is x minus 1. So CD is x minus 1. How can I show that? So now focus over here. This thing is x plus 3. This thing over here is x. So let me just first label everything. Then we have this thing in green color. Then we have this thing in green color. Then similarly, let me mark this thing. Whole thing is 2x minus 3. Then we have this thing, which is x minus 2. Then we have this thing over here. Okay, so technically I've labeled everything that needs to be labeled. That means if this is 2x minus 3, if I subtract x minus 2, I'll get CD. If this is x plus 3, if I subtract x, I'll get the green one. So now, first of all, if I am interested in this thing CD, this is 2x minus 3 minus x minus 2. So 2x minus x is x minus 3 plus 2, that is x minus 1, that is proven. Now, I also need AD. So similarly, AD, you have to think for yourself. That is x plus 3 minus x, x plus 3 minus x. So I'm just left with the 3. So this is 3, and this is x minus 1. Now it says the area of the small rectangle is 1/5 the area of the big rectangle. So area of ABCD, that is 3 into x minus 1. Area of rectangle EFGD. So now we have this thing, that is E, F, G, and D. So this is 2x minus 3 into x plus 3. This is 2x minus 3 into x plus 3. And the small is 1/5 of the big, or big is 5 times the small. So let me first expand it. That is 2x squared plus 6x minus 3x minus 9. That is 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. So now 2x squared plus 3x minus 9 is 5 times 3x minus 3. 1/5 becomes 5. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 9 is 15x minus 15. So 2x squared, 3 minus 15 is negative 12x, minus 9 plus 15. 15 minus 9s plus 6 is equals to 0. And let's divide by 2. That is x squared minus 6x plus 3 equals to 0. X squared minus 6x plus 3 equals to 0. So small is 1/5 of the big. Big is 5 times the small. So this is the big is 5 times the small. That is the logic that I've applied. Use the quadratic formula. Now, the factorization is not possible. That's why they're asking us to use the quadratic formula. So you will write x squared minus 6x plus 3 equals to 0. So ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. A comes out to be 1. B comes out to be negative 6. C comes out to be 3. Let me evaluate b squared minus 4ac on the sidelines. That is negative 6 whole square minus 4 into 1 into 3. This is 36 minus 12. That comes out to be 24. So therefore, x is equals to minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac square root divided by 2a. That is minus 6 plus minus 24 square root divided by 2 times 1. So this is 6 plus minus. They want the answer to two decimal place. Therefore, work in at least a level of accuracy more. That is 3 dp. So square root of 24, I'll just write it divided by 2. So now let me grab my calculator, which is 24 and square root, and this is 4.898. 4.899. Let me write 4.899. So 6 minus 4.899 divided by 2, and 6 plus 4.899 divided by 2. So let me get both the answers. 6 minus 4.899 divided by 2 is 0.5505. This is 0.5505 for right now. And then we have this thing, 6 plus 4, 10.899 divided by 2. That is 5.4495. 5.4495. Now they were asking correct to 2 dp. So over here, this is 0.55, this is 0.55, this is 5.449, 5.45. Now these are the answers. Calculate the shaded area. So what is the shaded area? Shaded area is area of the big minus area of the small. Got the idea? So area of the big is this much. That is 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. So actually, there is also another way, but let me do the first method. First method, area of big rectangle. That is equals to 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. That is 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. Area of small rectangle. That is how much? That is 3 times x minus 1. This is 3 times x minus 1. Now, of course, first decide which one is acceptable. This is rejected. This is accepted. Why? Because one of the length is x minus 1. If this thing, x minus 1, is not possible, how can you have a negative length? Negative length is not applicable, not possible. So therefore, you have to accept this. So 3 times 5.45 minus 1, you get this. This is 5.45, or you can use the unrounded value, 5.45, and so on. And this is preferred. Use unrounded value. And then last but not the least, then you find the difference. But there is also a shortcut. That is, the shortcut is, let me add a page. We know that area of small is 5 times area of big rectangle, correct? What is the area of the small? 3 times 5.45 minus 1. 3 times 5.45 minus 1. So that is, hold for a second, that is 3 times x minus 1. So this is 5.45 minus 1. Let me first grab this thing. So 5.45 minus 1, that is 4.45 into 3, that is 13.35. That is 13.35. This is area of small rectangle. Therefore, area of big rectangle is 5 times 13.35. Don't use the quadratic formula. Multiply it by 5. That is 66.75. Therefore, the difference is the difference between these two. Actually, it's 4 times the small. So that is 66.75 minus 13.35. So minus 13.35. This comes out to be 53.5. So that is the answer for this part, the area of the shaded region. So you don't have to waste your energy over here because you know the relationship, but this is not wrong, but that is faster. something like this. Zara cycles a distance of 500 meters, correct, to the nearest 5 meter. So now the rule is whenever it's about upper bound and lower bound and all these things, whatever they are rounding off things to, so we add and subtract half of that. So basically, this thing about Zara, correct, to the nearest 5 meter. So add and subtract half of 5. So 500 meters, the lower bound is 500 minus 2.5. The upper bound is 500, 2.5 plus 2.5. What about uh, the time? 24.7 seconds, correct, to the nearest second. So add and subtract 0.10 divided by 2. So 24.7, the lower bound is 24.7 plus, actually lower bound is negative 0.10 divided by 2. And the upper bound is 24.7 minus plus 0.10 divided by 2. So now keep in mind, in lower bound, we are subtracting. In upper bound, we are adding. And whatever is the nearest thing, nearest 5 meter, add and subtract 5 over 2. Nearest zero point 0.1 second, add and subtract half of that. That's the rule. Calculate the lower bound of an average speed. So now the formula is average speed is distance divided by time taken. There are two options. If they are asking for average speed upper bound, then distance should be upper bound and time should be lower bound. That will give us a greater value. And if average speed, they are asking for the lower bound, then distance should be lower bound, the numerator should be lower bound, and time should be upper bound. So over here, distance lower bound, that is 500 minus 2.5 divided by the upper bound for time, that is 24.7 plus 0.05. And then you use a calculator, you get the answer, but first simplify, first understand, and then proceed. So that is the kind of working that needs to be done. So now this was one nice question. Something like this. Write down the integer values of x that satisfy the inequality. So draw a number line, and based upon the number line, you get the answers. So now, first of all, let me draw the number line. Let me mark this value that is over here, which is -3, then -2, -1, 0, and 1. So greater than or equal to -3. So now greater than or equal to -3, that is a solid circle, and we are going this way. Lesser than or equal to, only lesser than 1. So lesser than 1, we are going this way. That's an empty circle. Write down all the integer values that fall into this category. Is 3 inclusive? -3? Yes. -2? Yes. -1? Yes. 0? Yes. 1 is not. So -3, -2, -1, and 0, these are the four values, a basic inequality question. I'm just picking some different things up. They haven't asked what you call compound interest, so they can ask for the value. So the compound interest is P, 1 plus R over 100 raised to power of n. When they ask for the total amount of interest, that is the value. If they ask the value of the amount in the bank, that you have to add the principal amount. So the principal amount is 600 and 1 is 1. Always double check that this percentage is per year. You cannot change that, but make sure the time exactly complies with that. Year and year, month, and so on. So therefore, this thing is 2.7. 100 is already there. and raise to power of 4, and you evaluate this, you get the answer. Very simple. The same formula is used for exponential growth. Yes, let's solve this one. Now it says fx is this much, find f of 2, very kiddish. F of 2, that is 3 into 6 minus 5, that comes out to be, write all the steps, that is 1. Solve gx is equals to 18, so 2 minus 6x is equals to 18. Negative 6x is 18 minus 2. Negative 6x is 16. So therefore, x is 16 over negative 6. Leave the answer as fractions. So that is negative 8 over 3. If you want to write in mixed numbers, so you can write this thing as negative 2 2/3. That is also practically possible. F of g of 4. So over here, first find g of 4. So g of 4 means 2 minus 6 into 4. 2 minus 24, that is negative 22. F of g of 4 actually means f of 22 because the value of g of 4 is 22. So that is 3x minus 5. That is 3 into 22 minus 5. That is 66 minus 5. That comes out to be 61. Now this is method 1. And this is the practical method. I would personally do it this way. But if someone wants to do it in another way, or maybe they ask us find expression for f of g of x. So we know that fx is 3x minus 5, gx is this much. So fx is, first let me write, that is 3x minus 5. F of g of x is 3 gx minus 5. That is 3 times gx minus 5. What is gx? 2 minus 6x. That is 3 into 2 is 6. 3 into 6 is negative 18x minus 5. So therefore, this is 1 minus 18x. So now if I want to evaluate f of g of 4, that can be done this way, 1 minus 18 times 4. So that is 36, 72. This is 1 minus 72. I hope I haven't done any mistake. 3 into 2 is 6. And this thing, 6 4s are 24. 2 minus 24 is negative 22. Let me just double check. F of 22, 3 into 22. That is 60, 66, 66 minus 5 is 61. That looks correct. So this is question number 10. No harm in looking at the mark scheme. There might be some slight error that I made. Where is the mark scheme? Question number 10. Hold for a second. Negative 71. Okay, so this answer, the second one is coming correct. And hold for a second. Like this. Okay, this one is perfect. This negative 71, the difficult way, I got it correct. So where did I made a mistake? So f of g of 4, g of 4, 6 into 4 is 24. 2 minus 24 is negative 22. F of x is 3x minus 5. So 3 into negative. I forgot the negative sign, my bad. So I forgot, that's one small mistake. 3 of negative 22 minus 5, that is minus 66 minus 5, that is negative 71. So both methods are okay. So this is method number 2. If you want to find the expression and then work, you can work it. But of course, the easy method is method 1. That's another thing that I made a silly mistake of minus sign over there. So now over here, the domain of gx is x is greater than negative 8. So now, first of all, let me write gx. What is gx? Gx is 2 minus 6x. The domain of gx is x is greater than negative 8. Find the range of gx. Now, let me first evaluate g of negative 8. That is 2 minus 6 into negative 8. So therefore, this is 2 plus 6 8s are 48. That comes out to be 50. Now, a little bit of the sketch would certainly help. So what I can do is that let me just draw the graph, and it has a negative gradient, 2 minus 6x. So it's going like this. That means when x increases, y decreases, correct? So this is 2 minus 6x. Now g of negative 8, let's say this is negative 8, and this is coming out to be, let me just push this thing up, and let me just remove this thing. So now this is g of negative 8 is 50. If I increase the x value, what will happen to the y value? Because of the negative gradient, it will come down. So therefore, the range over here should be f of x, actually g of x is lesser than minus 50, since this is not inclusive. Since this is not inclusive, therefore this is not inclusive. And yes, you need a little bit idea of the sketch, a basic sketch of O-level maths. That is all you need. Uh, Venn diagram, we did some question. Now this one is a basic one. Let's just solve it. So now over here, it says x is a prime number. So how many prime numbers do you see in set A? So in set A, let me just highlight this thing. So I can see 2 is the only even prime number, 3 is a prime number, 5 is a prime number, 7 is a prime number, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 is a prime number. So this is set A. It's a factor of 36. So factor of 36, uh, let's say we have 2 is a factor of 36, 3 is there, 4 is there, 6 is there, 9 is there, and 12 is there. So all these are factors of 36. That leaves behind 4. No, 4 is already included. 4 is already included, and that leaves behind 8. That leaves behind 10. So that should be on the outside. Complete the Venn diagram. So now let me write over here this thing, which is we have two numbers outside, 8 and 10. So let me write 8 over here. Let me write 10 over here. The placement doesn't make a difference. And then AS, are there any common ones? Yes, there is 2 is common. That both red and blue. 3 is common. And that's it. So 2 and 3, they are common. And in A, we have a prime number that is 5, that is 7, that is 11. So double check. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. So 2, 3 is common, 5, 7, 11. And now factors of 36. So 2, 3 are already there. So now we have 4, we have 6, we have 9, we have 12. So we have 4. Hold for a second. Let me just write it over here. So we have 4, we have 9, and we have 12. So 4, 9, and 12. That goes over here. That's how the thing is completed, the Venn diagram. A union B complement. So B complement is on the outside of this, and that is unionizing with A. So B complement unionizing with A. So again, these two would be included. So 5, 7, 11, 2, 3. So 5, 7, 11, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. So B complement was such. Everything on the outside, that was this and this and this and this and this. That was B complement, but the union with A. So I have to take this thing, take all without repetition. So now this thing is done. Also, some people, what they can do is that they can write B as 2, 3, 4, 9, and 12. Let me write B complement. So what is there? So B complement is 5, 7, 11, 8, 10. 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11. Let me write A over here. What is A? 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. Okay. Now, if I do the union thing, if I do this thing, the union, hold for a second, let me choose this thing. So if I do the union, so therefore this is 2, this is 3, 5 is there, 7 is there, and 8 should be there, 10 should be there because union, and 11 is there. So yes, there is 8 that is missing. So don't forget to write the 8 over here, and of course write in the proper order. Number of elements in A intersection B complement. A intersection B complement. So this is A, this is B complement. What is common? So there is 5, there is common. There is 7, there is common. There is 11, there is common. So this is 5, 7, and 11. This is the number of elements. But they're asking, this is the elements itself. They're asking number of elements. A intersection B complement, that is 3. Yes, this one, a lot of people ask about this thing. That is, find the 3 inequalities that define the unshaded region. Now, there are some topics that were already discussed in the last live stream. So you can also consult that one. So both videos, they are necessary. So now over here, first thing first, this equation right over here, this one. So when x is 2, y is 0. When y is 2, x is 0. So I can write without calculation, x plus y is equals to 2. You can double check. You can find the gradient. The gradient is -1. The y-intercept is 2. When you simplify, you get this thing. Over here, if I want to focus on this line, which is passing through 0, 0, and this is 2, 1. So the gradient is half. So this is y is equals to half x, the green one. And the third one, that is all along this line. The y coordinate is unchanged. That is y is equals to 2. So these are the 3 lines. Now, region R is below this line. So region R is below the blue line and it's dotted. So first thing first, this is y is less than 2. Region R is above the green line. It's above the green line. So therefore, y is greater than or equal to half x. Region R is also above the pink line. So x plus y is greater than or equal to 2. So x plus y is greater than or equal to 2. There are 2 solid lines, so equality is there. 1 dotted line, so only lesser is there. And yes, it is necessary that y should be on the left-hand side, y should be on the left-hand side. Both x and y could also be on the left-hand side, but it is a must that y should be on the left-hand side. Yes, an equation which is like vertical, x is equals to 2, something like this. So this will be, if this is the shaded region, something like that. So now this is only in terms of x because there is no y in it. A question of circle. It says points B, D, and E and F lie on a circle. And all these things are there. So now, without even reading something, let me first find everything that comes to my mind. So now this and this are equal. I source these. So therefore, this is 50 degrees. Therefore, this is 80 degrees. Therefore, this y, this is a cyclic quadrilateral. So therefore, this y, so y plus 80 degrees is 180. Opposite angles are supplementary. Y is 100 degrees. So y is also found. Then we can think about this thing, this line, this tangent over here, like this. So now this angle over here, this is formed between the chord and the tangent. Now the same chord is forming this angle at the circumference. Alternate segment theorem. So x comes out to be 50 degrees. Now let me read what exactly is it asking. Angle BEF is 50, EF is BF. Find the value of x. We found the value of x, that is 50 degrees because alternate segment theorem. You can just quote the result and find the value of y. Y is 100 degrees, and this is based upon cyclic, quadrilateral, opposite angles are supplementary. So let's double check from the mark scheme, question number 17. And over here, question number 17, that is over here. Okay. 50, alternate segment theorem, 100, isosceles triangle and opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral is supplementary. So now, so far, so good. Okay. This is just basic working. Little bit of trigonometry. It says angle AB, length AB is 12 centimeters. So let me just highlight few things. This is 12. Then we have this thing. That is 6. We have this thing. That is 7. And some other things are there. Let's just focus on this. Calculate angle BAD. So B, A, and D. So now if I'm interested in this particular angle, so therefore you have to work from the perspective of the angle. So now you would write like this: 7 square is equals to 12 square plus 6 square minus bracket 2 into 12 into 6 into cos of this angle. Let's simply call it A. 49, 144, 36 divided by negative 12 into 6 is 72 into 2, 144 is cos of this angle A. So now let me go to my calculator. That is 49 minus 144 minus 36. That's a negative value, negative 131 divided by negative 144. So this is 0.9097. So cosine of angle A is 131 over 144. Let me leave it as it is. And then make sure calculator is in the right mode, which is degrees, and shift and cosine. So this comes out to be 24.53. So angle A is 24.533 degrees. But since we work in 1 dp, so 24.5 degrees, 1 dp, unless otherwise stated. Calculate AC. Now I have to calculate this angle, which is AC. So now let me label this thing. And how can I work this out? Now focus on this. This thing over here is opposite to this angle. And this over here, 48 degrees, that is opposite to this 12. So if I have this angle 24.533, so let me first find this purple angle. So this purple angle is 180 minus 48 plus 32 plus 24.533. Got the idea? This is just found. This is 24.533. That is BAD. And the total angle is 24 plus this 32. So 32 and 48, that's 80. 80 plus 24 is 104. So let me subtract 180 minus 104.533. This comes out to be 75.467. So this angle is 75.467 degrees. And now it's a game of sine rule. So now I need AC. So AC divided by sine of 75.467 degrees. That should be the same thing as 12 divided by sine of 48 degrees. So this is part B that I'm doing in the space of part A. Don't do that in the exam. I'm just doing it for right now. So AC is 12 sine 75.467 degrees divided by sine of 48 degrees, and you will get the value. So I think that is good about all these things. Let me just do this last question. The diagram shows a pyramid ABCV. The base of the pyramid is an equilateral triangle with sides of length 34. The height VO is perpendicular to the base of the pyramid, and VA, VB, VC is 82. Write down the number of planes of symmetry. I think, let me just do one thing. That in this thing over here, there was trigonometry that I think I did. And planes of symmetry and things like that. So let me just remove this. Okay. So now over here, I think I've solved it somewhere. I was just looking for that. Find the number of planes of symmetry. So now how many planes are there? So that is to do with symmetry. M is the midpoint of AC. The ratio MO is to OB is 1 is to 2. So now, first of all, let me just do some working. So this MO to OB, that is 1 is to 2. And the equilateral triangle is ABC. So the equilateral triangle is this thing. That is like this over here, 34. That is this over here, 34. And then there is this over here, 34. Okay. So now over here, it says MO is to OB is this thing, and show that OB is 19.6. Show that OB is 19.6. VC is 82. Now, the first thing what we can do is that since it's an equilateral triangle, all the angles are 60 degrees. So this much is 30 degrees. AM is to MC. This, of course, is equal. That is 17. And this thing is 17. And this is a right angle triangle. So basically, 34 square is equals to 17 square plus MB square. So MB square, that is 34 square minus 17 square. And let me first do this. That is 34 square minus 17 square. That is 867. Let me take the square root of 867, 29.44. So MB is 29.44 after the calculation. OB is this much. So OB is 2/3 of MB. So that is 2/3 of 29.44. So into 2, and for some reason 29.44 into 2 divided by 3, that is 19.626. That is 19.626, and 1 decimal place, that is 19.6 centimeter. That thing is done. So this is part B. So now that thing is done. Now over here, it says, this thing is done. Calculate the angle between the edge VB and the base of the pyramid. So this is the edge VB. Let me draw this. And the base of the pyramid. So this is the base of the pyramid. This whole thing is the base. But they're asking for this particular angle. Okay. So now with the angle over here, calculate the angle between the edge VB and the base of the pyramid. So now over here, they have made us find OB. So if I use this thing, and let me just draw an orange line also over here, if they ask us for this perpendicular height, that would be Pythagoras theorem. So now this is a right angle triangle. We know what is OB. This is opposite. We want this particular angle over here. So therefore, sine of theta is OB over 82. sine of theta is OB over 82. That is 19.626 over 82. You'll find the value of theta. Calculate the volume of the pyramid. That is 3D. So that is 1/3 base area into height. So now this is for 5 marks. So yes, we need some more things. So let me first find VO. So VO square is equals to 82 square, and this is 19.626 square. So we will find VO from here. And the area of the triangle, that is half AB sine C, that is half into 34 into 34 into sine of 60 degrees. So that's how you'll do the calculation. And then 1/3 base area into height, that thing is there. So now this is which question? This is 22. Let me show you the mark scheme for this one. So over here, okay. So now this is 22. Okay. So now there are 3 planes of symmetry because it's an equilateral triangle. So first, let me talk about this. Planes of symmetry, surfaces that can divide it just like line symmetry. So 3 planes of symmetry. Secondly, this thing, we got it correct. Now, this thing is this much, 76.1 and 76.2. This I haven't calculated it, but I have written this thing. So that is sine, cos, tan, whichever angle that they're asking, we will just double check. For height, we will get this height. Base area, half AB sine C. Okay. And we'll come back to it. So remember this answer, 13,376.1. So let me go up. And let's look at the working. So they are asking, calculate the angle between the edge and the base of the pyramid. So now let me just do one thing over here. That is, wait for a second. This is the orange one. And as far as the angle is concerned, we are looking for cos. The reason is, so this is OB divided by 82. So this is OB, that is the base. They're asking for this angle with the base, not with the height. So let me just correct myself. So this thing is your adjacent. This thing is your hypotenuse. So therefore, this is 19.962 over this thing. So therefore, theta is cos inverse of whatever this thing is, and you'll find theta. Let me get this answer. So 19.626 divided by 82 and shift and cosine, and this is 76.15. This is 76.15 degrees, which is 76.2 degrees. This is 1 dB. Okay, now first of all, the area of the triangle, let me just take everything over there. So area of the base area, that is half A B sine of 60 degrees. That thing is there. 1/3 is part of the formula. Height is from here. Height is this thing, a VO, that is 82 square minus this thing, because 82 is the hypotenuse. So now let me grab this thing. 82 square minus 19.626 square, and then the square root. So this is 79.616. So 79.617. 79.617. So this is hypotenuse. This is the height. This is the base. Correct? So now this is 79.617. Now let's multiply it all out. So let me also write the value of sine of 60, which is 0.8660. So this is 3, this is 2, this is 34, this is 34, this is this, and this is this. Now let's multiply. So now over here, 34 into 34 into 0.866 into 79.617 and divided by 6, that is 13284, 13284.04. Now, if you want to round it off to three significant figure, first, second, third, this is the fourth SF. So based upon this, 132 will become 133.00, and this is centimeter cube. So now I have taught you a lot about all these things. That completes this live stream. So for paper 2, to give you an overview of the 360-degree solution, and do watch. And I hope you have already jotted down what are the main topics that would come and my projected paper. Take care, everyone.